Hey guys, I'm going to go over how you can replace the bearing in your Crossrope handle. It's pretty straightforward and you're only going to need a few tools. Here's pretty much all the tools you'll need. You'll need a drill, a few drill bits, an adjustable wrench, needle nose pliers or any other kind of pliers, a file, a punch, a center punch, a tap, a hammer, a couple screws, different fasteners that I'll go over later, and your new bearing. The bearing's marked 608Z, so that's what you want to look for when getting a new bearing. Before you start tearing your handle, you can try to take one drop of lubricant right to the bearing to see if it'll smooth it out. You can work it in. In my case, mine's bad still. This is what a good bearing would sound like and feel like. It'll spin forever. But a bad one will be loud and it won't spin very long. First, we have to drill out the rivets. So take your center punch and mark the center of the rivet. Now take your drill and carefully start to drill out the rivet. I'm using a 7/32 drill bit. I actually switched to a smaller drill bit, but I'm going to work my way up to the 7/32. Once you have it mostly drilled out, you can take a punch and hit it the rest of the way. Now that we have the rivet out, we actually have to drill this out a little bit more so we can slide the cap off. I'm using a 7/64 drill bit for this. You might want to take a punch to help you get this off because it's pretty tight. And once you have it mostly off, the cap will just come off. And you'll slide this through those slits on the top, and you have access to the bearing. But first, we have to remove this nut. And since it's crimped on there, the only way to remove it is to break it off. Now we're going to get out our vise and clamp the nut into the jaws. Make sure you get just the nut and not the bearing. Now grab your wrench and twist. So mine didn't actually shear off this time, but the threads are badly twisted and I don't think the nut will thread back on anyways. Yeah. So we're gonna have to cut this off and tap it. Now with the threads sheared, you want to file the rest flat with this second lip. Now that we filed it flat, we can go ahead, take our center punch and mark the middle. It's really important at this point to keep your drill bit straight up and down. Now I'm going to move to the 1/8 inch bit. I have this blue piece of tape here set at 1/2 inch just to let me know when to stop drilling. Now that we have our hole drilled, we're ready for the tap. I like to start it by hand and then finish it with the drill, just to make sure that I start it straight. It's very important to keep this straight. All right, hardest part's done. Now here I have an M4.70 pitch bolt. I'm going to test fit it. When you finish tapping it, you can go rinse it off with some water and a toothpick to make sure you get all the shavings out. That way you're left with nice clean threads. And then you might want to just spray a little bit of silicone lubricant in there just to displace the water. Now with the threads cleaned out, we're ready to assemble the handle. So we're just going to take our bearing, our M4.70 pitch bolt, and our washer. I'm going to put a little bit of thread locker on this. This is medium strength removable thread locker. And thread it in. And then give it a little bit of a snug. If you were able to drill out the rivet and get the cap off without drilling into the cap like this, you'll be able to use a tension pin instead of this screw and cap method. So try to get the pin and cap off without drilling a bigger hole, which I wasn't able to do. The way I'm going to put this together is going to be a little different because we had to drill out this hole a little bit wider than the original pinhole. So to pin it, I'm going to use a 1-inch cap screw and an acorn nut with the edges filed down. The way I filed this down was to put it on the screw and then put it in the drill. And then I took a file to it until the edges were down. And be patient because this did take a while. You want to file down the nut enough so that it easily passes through the holes you made on the cap. And that will just take some trial and error until you get it right. Now we can begin to assemble the handle. Go ahead and insert your bearing and put the cap on. And now we can put the screw on. I'm going to go ahead and put a little thread locker in the nut. And I'll insert the screw. I like to put this in just halfway and put the nut in the other side, just so it keeps me from cross-threading if it's not a perfect fit. And now we can put the screw on. I'm going to go ahead and put a little thread locker in the nut. And I'll insert the screw. I like to put this in just halfway and put the nut in the other side, just so it keeps me from cross-threading if it's not a perfect fit. And now we can put the screw on. and then you can tighten it up, keeping pressure on the nut. And it looks good. This really wasn't that hard. My other one only took me about an hour. Um, it's better than buying a new one if you're out of warranty like me. I actually bought these used, and the bearing was bad. But I hope this helps someone. Thanks for watching.